It is a challenging time as we go through this pandemic. I think it's going a lot longer than anyone hoped or envisaged over a year ago. The challenges we're now seeing are very similar to the challenges we saw last year. I guess the good news, though, is that through the experience of last year, we've really been able to change business processes, add more flexibility, and that's given us the ability to react quicker. We know that we're a very, very important part of the freight task in this country. We always feel as if we are, but I think people start to see that more publicly in times like this, and keeping the supermarket shelves stocked is a very important part of what we do.
Well, freight logistics became an essential service last year, allowing the delivery of goods and services across borders. Are the settings now right to handle future outbreaks and border closures?
Well, I subscribe to the view, Catherine, that you can always do better. But I have to say, and I watched this from the sidelines last year in a different role, Pacific National and the rail industry in general did a great job in becoming more flexible and standing up to the task. I think what we have learnt is that cross-border rail is a very, very good way, particularly when the borders are shut down, to keep the supply lines of the country open. So we are well equipped. We're doing our very best as an industry and as Pacific National, but you can always do more. And as we go through what we're going through this week and probably the coming weeks all across the country, we'll continue to keep an eye on what is working and what's not, and we'll strive to get better.
Well, given what you've just said, does it surprise you that people still panic buy?
Yeah, it does surprise me a bit, frankly. I mean, you look at the public one, which is toilet paper, and you can fit 25,000 rolls of toilet into one shipping container. We have 330 of those containers on any train that goes from the east coast to Perth, so that's 8.5 million rolls of toilet paper, and we have 20 of those services per day, and we're doing that all over the country every day. So just on that one alone, it does surprise me.
Pacific National is the largest transporter of coal in New South Wales and the fastest growing coal haulage provider in Queensland. As the world moves to decarbonise, moves towards net zero emissions, coal stations come offline, how will this impact on the coal side of the business?
Yeah, look, we're very balanced about our views on coal. It is an important part of our business right now. We are growing more aggressively in freight, but Australia produces exceptionally good quality coal. And it's going to continue doing so for some time. And by doing so, it will actually help minimise the impact of carbon emissions of coal burning for some time as renewables catch up and take share. And if it's going to be produced, I think it's far better that it's coming from Australia, because the quality of our coal is far less intensive from a carbon emission point of view. And if we jump too far the other way and we shut it down, the countries that are using coal are still going to find it, and it's going to be worse quality and probably worse for the world.
Pacific National has recorded 2 consecutive years of financial losses of around $400 million. You've been installed to produce profits. Where do you think they'll come from?
Well, I think that's a construct of the way the balance sheet is set up in our company, and it is a strong cash-generating business as we speak today. It generates more than $800 million in free cash every year. However, having said that, we do need to get more for our shareholders, and we do need to increase the focus on profit within our company. That, to me, is making sure that when we work with the big customers we've got, that we truly try to succeed together. And make sure that both of us are in a position of making the sorts of returns that we want to make.
Paul, it's been around half a year since you left Virgin. Why did you decide to take up the reins at Pacific National?
Look, I think one of the things I was really keen on doing was get back into the rhythm of doing some heavy lifting in the time of challenge for the country. I have some experience in rail and freight and logistics, and I thought I could add a lot of value. But I see a great future for it. I think that's the strongest pull for me to come here to Pacific National was a great group of people who do a really, really good job.
Well, on the aviation sector, Paul, there are calls for aviation workers to get the jab after an unvaccinated Virgin flight attendant tested positive. How big a failure is this on Virgin's behalf?
Well, I think the country is way behind in terms of the vaccination rollout and the speed of that rollout. If you look at what we're seeing overseas right now, you're seeing a virtual reopening of the economy in the US and in Canada. You're seeing aviation start to re-emerge to numbers and levels they had pre-pandemic. So I'm disappointed that as a country our vaccination rollout program has been so slow, and that our hotel quarantine has been substandard in many ways, and it's allowed this COVID Delta variant to get out.
Well, should airlines be flying around with unvaccinated crew?
To be honest with you, the position I took back in the days that I was the CEO of Virgin, it is incredibly difficult to actually see a widespread outbreak if you fly. You know, you'd need to ask those who are now running the airlines what position they take on that. You know, I do support a position where we are openly flying again throughout, at least domestically, throughout every state in this country.
And Paul, how would you say your successor, Jane Herdlicker, is going?
Oh, look, you know, I'm very busy, focused on my day job at Pacific National. You know, just generally, I keep an eye on the aviation sector. One thing I'm thrilled about is that the great people of Virgin, have a future, and that was because of the new owners that came in and took over. So I'm really thrilled for them.
Paul Scurrah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Catherine.